Welcome back, and today we are playing out the BF-109 F2. Now a little bit ago I saw a video of a dude on YouTube that actually was using this plane. And when he was using it, this gun looked pretty solid. He was actually getting a lot of kills with it with very little rounds. So I thought, well, is this YouTube magic or is the gun just actually good? And it turns out the gun is actually just good. I prefer it over the FFM that we already have. On the F1 for example, there's better velocity, you have more ammo. And the damage honestly doesn't feel that different. I mean, the 20mm probably does a little bit more damage. But you have over 3 times the ammo and it's much easier to aim. And together with the airframe, I mean the 109 F1 and F2 just have fantastic flight models. Sure, they don't turn as well, but they're very good at low speed fighting still. Mainly due to the energy generation and just the ability to stall well. This is the F model frame of course. And if you are familiar with the F4, the F1, the F2... basically all the F models, well it is all the F models, then you should know that when you are in these stall fights, in these upward spirals or these trading shots, hammerhead, stuff like that, the control that you have over this plane is simply spectacular. Now of course, when you go into a straight raid fight or just a straight turn, when you try to cut your throttle and cut inside of that turn, there's a likelihood that you are going to die. It's still a 109 and you have to play around your energy and the stalls. Just be careful that you don't get third-partied as you are super slow, because of course that's a recipe for disaster and kind of the kryptonite of the 109s. And the 109s are not particularly fantastic when it comes in like 1v2s, 1v3s and you are on like equal altitude on the deck against something like a Spitfire for example. You are just going to struggle. Now the positive is that at the start of the game, very often you are just going to be above them. You're going to have more energy than them if you are on co-elt. And you're simply just gonna have better performance up there. So because of this, it's very easy to work your way up to the top of the match. And then just kind of slowly work your way down and go from there. The plane is super forgiving to fly as long as you have a little bit of discipline. And I made a video on the 109 F1 a while ago. Everything I said there is still applicable. And it's also still applicable to this plane right here. The only real difference is going to be the gun. And the gun is actually going to be the main selling point of today's video. We are going to get a 9-kill game without landing, which I'll show you right here. Now, the gameplay, personally, I'm gonna say that the gameplay in the 109 F1 video is gonna be better, but this is mostly going to be the gun showcase because I wasn't actually familiar with how good it was. This was the second game that I did in this thing. And if you're wondering about the skin, it's a marketplace skin. You can download it. It's not from War Thunder Live, so I can link it down below. It probably is on there, but I don't use custom skins for the most part because I just find it a hassle. Even though it's like 10 seconds of work, I really don't care. I just can't be fucked. I am lazy like that. So we climb straight in. As we do, we try to maintain about 290 kilometers IAS, and we get engaged by the Yak 1. Now we go head on with him. Really not much to talk about. We go ahead on, we shoot a few rounds, and he's dead. That's gonna be kill number 1. Break off, go for the I-16, go head on again, shoot a few rounds. He's also dead. And that's kill number 2 with about 35 rounds. Well, actually 35 rounds. Go up over the RE2002. Now this thing doesn't really have much energy, and it has a lawnmower engine. There's really no way around it. It does turn quite well, but it doesn't really have the energy to keep turning quite well. Now if you are in a downward spiral for example, that thing is hella deadly, just kind of like with the I-16. But if you go vertical, he just falls out of the air. And that's another kill with like 8 rounds. Absolutely incredible. And we dive towards the middle of the map. Now we have a DB7 in low altitude orbit. We have 2 Spitfires on the right and we have another DB7 coming in. And I'm going to be ignoring them for the most part. Unfortunately, the Spitfire sees us because I'm actually the highest person in the game right now. Luckily, at low tier, people tend to get very bored very quickly. So by simply just disengaging for a little bit, and he's not really going for us just yet, I might have a little bit of luck here and have him break off and go for someone else. Now, this is what I'm trying. And I thought to myself, well, this I-16 is already below me. The Spitfires are already above me. So I'm just going to bait the Spitfires down by going for the I-16. And that's another person that I don't have to worry about. So we shoot a few rounds. We get a hit. Can't really see much due to the contrails. Squeeze the trigger some more. Set them on fire. I-16 on fire is guaranteed death. They very rarely put it out. And we just fly away. We kill him. The Spitfires dives on us, just as predicted basically. But there's so many people around that he's kind of forced to disengage. And I'm going to use this opportunity to go straight for a little bit longer and break off, get some altitude, let him burn all his speed away with maneuvers, with pulling lead, taking shots. And all we did was fly straight, put all our energy back into altitude, and then we turn around. And the Spitfire is now occupied with the MS-410. Now, the MS-410 is likely going to die, but because of all the maneuvers that these Spitfires are doing, I now have the energy advantage again, and I can start working on them. First Spitfire goes down and he rams the MS-410 out of the air, and the other Spitfire is very much occupied by the Hurricane, and I'm gonna try to shoot him down. I'm predicting to the position where he's going to be turning towards. Works out quite well, pulls up in front of us, and that's going to be kill number 5 with less than half our ammo load, which is just absolutely fantastic. Now it does get quote unquote stolen, but you know, with the new severe damage mechanic, we actually are going to get the kill for it. The severe damage mechanic is pretty good. It does need a little bit of tweaking. Sometimes you get a severe damage when you slightly yellow someone's tail, and it does give you the wrong information. When I severe someone, I want to be 100% sure that that guy is dead. And unless he's at high altitude and he's able to glide back to the runway, I don't want to look at him anymore. I just want to assume that he's dead and not pay attention to him. But when you get a severe and you barely damage them, you stop paying attention to them, what can end up happening is you get killed by a dude that you thought was dead. So always assume that they aren't dead. And unless you see that their plane is actually inoperable, just fight them like normally and treat them like they aren't actually damaged. A good indication is looking at the bottom right. When you kill someone or when you hit someone, you see damage off left wing, right wing, gear lag, doesn't really matter. But if you get a crit or a severe damage and it doesn't say anything on the bottom right, no damage pop up, very big chance you didn't actually do anything to him and you just kind of got lucky with the pop-up on your screen. Now we get a MiG-3 on us, and the MiG-3 is a pretty decent energy fighter. The issue is it turns like an absolute bus. We have a lot more energy than him. He got up-tiered into us, we have the better plane, and all I really need to do is just make him fast. If we get him fast, he will compress. If he tries to get a shot on us, he will just overshoot instantly. So we pull up below him, he cannot pull at all, and look how quickly I get a shot on him. He is very likely fully pulling on that stick right now, and we just shove a 50mm in the back of his skull, and there goes the MiG-3. Very quick kill, and then we have some last guys left. Now, again, that's 6 kills with 95 rounds. We have 3 guys left to kill. Now, the kills here are not going to be super incredible. It's a Key 27 and 2 bombers. But I want you to just take a look at this damage. Now, of course, the Key 27 is basically made out of paper mache, and I do want this guy dead first. It's a very annoying plane to kill. That's a very good performance. It's just a little bit on the slow end. And with that, I mean, I can probably walk faster than that thing. He's not really paying attention to us. We get a very free kill. And now we have 78 rounds left and 590 rounds of MG rounds to kill 2 DB7s. Now the first DB7 is going to be flying away from us. He's keeping his speed. He's actually going to do a pretty decent job. And then we have the second DB7 who's just kind of doing laps above us. Now I'm not sure if this guy disconnected or what happened to him. He's just not really doing much. Now, I want to go for him, I do want to get the kill in, but I notice that the guy on the bottom of our screen is turning around. And he is actively playing, so I'm gonna disengage and go for the dude that's actually doing something. Because I don't want to die this late into the game. We pull up below the DB7, he's going for the F2A at this point. But, you know, he's a little bit slow, it's kind of hard for me to get the shot in, but he straightens out and we get the shot. Now it says gunner is unconscious, and I'm gonna use this opportunity to kind of gun him down. We set him on fire. But I don't actually trust it because he is aiming at his runway and he still has a second engine. And there he goes. He puts the fire out. He still has a second engine, so we are going to use the MG to kill the second engine. And we get the severe damage. We set the second engine on fire as well. And he's going to die from that. He's not going to recover that one. The DB7 has quite a bit of drag. He's decently far away from the runway. He doesn't have much speed. He doesn't have much health. And he's severely damaged. So even if my teammate licks him up, I should be completely okay. And he's not gonna make it very far because of his trajectory, his plane, and his damage altogether. Now we're gonna click up the last dude here. Get some hits in, we get some smoke. And he's actually going decently quick. So I can't actually pull in here. So we go down a little bit, pick up a little bit of speed, just to pull a little bit tighter. And we should be able to just sit directly behind him now, as long as the F2A doesn't actually kill him. So now we have 32 rounds left, which should be enough, looking at the damage that we have been getting throughout the rest of this game. And there's the angle, we set him on fire. Just want to make sure I actually get to Sevilla. We kill him and he gets teleported to Narnia. And then the other DB7 actually hits the ground just a few seconds later. Now let's take a look at the last game where actually something happened. And that's actually kind of unique. Because at 2.3, most of the enemies are not really that bright. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. People are new. And this is the playground of people that try to dabble in RRB. So there's nothing wrong with it. But when you do run into people that have a semblance of a clue, you most of the time get at least a decent fight out of it. Now we have Mr. P39N0 there with the P39N0, who is definitely an alt account by looking at the stats. Because all he flies is that plane. And of course, that is the name of it. And he is absolutely petrified of us. So I'm going to try to bait him in by engaging this P40. So we turn in, keep looking at the P39, get the shot in, kill him, and see if he turns around. Now he started to turn in, and the second we kill his buddy, he just flies away again, which is just, it's incredible. So we are going to try to cut him off. I'm just going to pressure him for a little bit. But of course, I want to make sure that I don't get baited. The P39N0 out dogfights this thing. And he's at an energy advantage. He really has no reason to run from us. But of course, when you make an alt account to patch your stats out, you are going to take absolutely zero risk. We see someone on the radar, and he is behind us, and which is probably why he's flying straight. So let's take a look at how we deal with this. We have an ultra passive plane that is better than us, and we have a second guy on our 6 with very good guns. So he dodges rounds. And we try to reverse him as quick as we can by flying away from the P39 to give us a little bit more time to actually kill him. Now he goes vertical. I cannot follow that up because the P39 will just instantly lick me up. Because he's doing nothing. He's just waiting for me to do something that gets me killed. And if I don't end up killing myself, he will never come down on us. Now the I-185 is committed and he will run us down in the long run with the energy that he has. And that's probably what the P39 is waiting for. Because he's not engaging me. He's free to do so. There's really no one pressuring him. We have the BF-109 above him, but he's engaging the I-185. And he's completely free to dive on me, and he's in the battle plane. Especially the lower that we go, the bigger his advantage becomes. Because the P-39 just is an absolute monster anywhere below 3 kilometers. P-39 kind of breaks off. He's finally touching his mouse again. But then he just instantly comes back. The I-185 is now diving for me. And look at him. He's doing absolutely nothing. Dude is absolutely petrified of a plane that is worse than his when he has every advantage that he needs. So again, I'm going to try to fly straight. The I-185 shoots down my friendly. And just as predicted, he is instantly going to go back for me. And this is something that happens a lot at lower BRs. They go for one guy, and the second they have you in your sights, and the second you give them their 6, especially if they will be able to catch you, they're just going to go for you throughout the entirety of the match. We go defensive. I-185 isn't too hard to defensive fly against. We go up over his nose, but I know that P-39 is going to come in the millisecond I touch my controls. And there he is. So the I-185 is going to be sending it for me, and the P-29 is likely going to be quite passive. But because the I-185 doesn't turn that well, I can just kind of wait for the I-185 to come for me and then turn into the P-29 to deny him the shots. And this way I can rope the I-185 closer to me. While the P-29 is very unlikely to actually go for me because this guy takes zero risk. And when you take zero risk, you become super predictable and you give me a lot of room. And all this room is perfect because now, even with all my detours, I am still equal footing with the I-185. Now the I-185 finally just kind of breaks off. He started leaving, flies perfectly straight, so we are able to Epstein him in the back of his head. The issue is I'm now going 380 on the deck versus a P-39N. Luckily it's piloted by someone that has to fly at 2.7 in the most under-tiered plane in the game to get a decent set of stats. So he is unable to aim whatsoever. We are almost able to get behind him. He has much more energy, and if he just went up right here, he would have killed us both. But he is a passive player that doesn't take any risk, and he doesn't actually know what to do. So what does he do instead? The thing that I harp on about all the time. You need to grab opportunities with both your hands and start sucking on it. By simply flying straight in front of someone instead of using the situation where you had a good position and maybe made something work, you close all those doors of potential success and you just run away because all you're thinking about is don't die, don't die, don't die. And by doing that, you kind of died in this case. Yes, you probably would have died in the fight as well, but by doing something, there is a chance of it actually working out. When you do nothing, there is no something to happen. All you can hope for is that they all break off RTB and then you can reset the fight that way. Thank you very much for displaying something that I want to talk about all the time, but it's very hard to visualize without people actually doing it to you. But that's all I have for you today. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.